Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we're talking about cutting and running. So sometimes in life, you will be presented with a situation. Maybe you got yourself into it, maybe you did not. But regardless of how it happened, you get to a point where you gotta get out of the situation. Like it's not a good place, it's not a good time, and you realize maybe you've invested too much, maybe you have not really thought it through carefully. There can be so many situations where you're just like, I gotta get out of this. And oftentimes you will tell yourself, well, I've put so much effort into this, I've put so much money, I've put so much time into this thing, like how can I walk away? That is called the cost analyst fallacy, or the sunk cost fallacy. And it's this idea that you have put too much into it to walk away. You know, maybe it's a 10-year friendship, maybe it's a long-term relationship, maybe it is trying to repair a relationship with like a family member or something like that. Maybe it's like an investment thing. Maybe it's a job, maybe it's your occupation. And apologies, Lily is just patrolling a little bit. But in any rate, you just have to get to a point where you're realizing this is too much. And if you tell yourself, oh, I've put so much time and effort, like I can't give up on it, you can end up in a bad situation. That investment, that relationship will just get worse. And eventually you'll get to a point where you do have to cut ties. You have to cancel everything and you have to move on. And that is not where you want to be. So the title of this video, cutting and running. And there shouldn't be any shame in this. There shouldn't be any, regret. I'm sure there will be some regret, but you shouldn't beat yourself up too hard because these situations happen in all of our lives. My grandparents have talked about it, my parents, my friends, everybody. Sometimes there is just no winning in a situation where you really wish and you really thought that you were going to be winning. You thought this situation was going to be great. You thought this relationship with a boy or a girl or whoever was going to be perfect. And you get to a point where you're just broken and I can't do it anymore. You're not expected to hold up the world, but in reality, you just have to cut and run. And there's really nothing wrong with that. Like you cannot beat yourself up about it. And the other thing that you have to understand about this idea, about this process, is where are you running to? Because sometimes we drop whatever we're associated with, whatever situation you might be cutting and running from, and we run straight into another problem or another issue. We run straight into another bad relationship or another bad investment or another bad whatever it is. And you need to be very thoughtful about this process. It takes a lot of thought and mental gymnastics to come to the outcome that you have arrived at. It takes a lot of time I'm really blanking on that word. Anyway, regardless, it takes a lot of time to come to that conclusion. There we go. Sorry, it's slow today. But once you get to that conclusion, you have to be really thoughtful about what happens next, is what I'm trying to say. Apologies. My goodness. It is not as early in the morning as it should be for my brain to not work. But so when you pivot, when you cut and run, having a good exit strategy is really important. It's important to understand that when you're going to drop this thing, when you're going to drop whatever it is, whether it's a person, whether it's whatever, you need to understand the ramifications of dropping this thing, because usually, a boyfriend or a friend will get really mad at you and be like, why are you cutting me out? Or getting out of a financial thing, maybe there's penalties or fees. Whatever work employment, maybe you have to give your notice, maybe you have to, get out of this thing. So I'm advocating that you get out of it as carefully as possible, as considerately as possible, and that you communicate with the third party, if there is a third party, that you're open with them and you're saying like, hey, like, I'm sorry, but I can't be doing this anymore. Like, it's not good for me. It's not a good situation. I can see where this is going and it's not going anywhere good. So having that understanding of where is this going and what am I actually doing with this thing is really critical. Like, it's something that really can't be overstated and you need to be mindful of it. once you have done that and you've been careful and you've understood, like, this is where I'm going, this is why I need to get out of this situation, where are you going to? Because it's not good enough just to run out of a situation and have no forethought about where you're going to go, what you're going to do, who you're going to see. So making that decision while you're still holding this thing can be really good, because it gives you this insight of like, where exactly do I want to be? What exactly do I want to be doing? And having that motivational direction that you're going to head towards is really key. Like, it cannot be stated enough that you have to have a good understanding of where you're going. So that is my, okay, thank you, Lily. That is my 2 cents on cutting and running. Sometimes it's good as long as you have a good exit strategy. If you've decided, you know what, I'm going to run out of this relationship, I'm going to be single for a while, or I'm going to let myself breathe for a little bit, and then I'm going to pivot more. Lily. Sorry. Anyway, that is the advice for today. Look at this little bean. Lily, you say hi? Can you say hi? Yeah. She's sticking to me like glue today. So, thank you guys for watching. Let me know your situations where you just realized you had to cut and run. You had to get out of it. There was no way around it, and unfortunately you had to drop whatever you were holding and move on to something else. And let me know, did it work? Were you glad that you got out when you did? Or do you wish you got out sooner? We've all been there. I have been there. I've been there with relationships. I've been there with financial stuff. I've been there with employment. It happens, and that's all you can do. And now she's climbing up on the windows. Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll talk to you tomorrow.